Social media management is one of the best side hustles you can do in 2026 if you are a creative person or love the concept of content creation. I personally made over £5,000 doing it last year alongside my 9-to-5 job and a degree, so if I can do it, you can as well. It doesn't have to be this massive thing that consumes your time, it can genuinely just be a side hustle. This video is simply a step-by-step process in which you can take to start social media management. This is based off my own experience, which ended up landing me 2 retainer clients as well as securing many different ad hoc opportunities. And in the end, I was earning around an average of £1,100 per month, as I said, alongside a 9-to-5 job and a degree, which is awesome. So like this video so you can save it, come back when you're ready to get started, pay attention and grab a pen, because I'm going to try and keep this video as short as possible, but also put in as much information as I can. So first of all, we just want to clear up what actually is social media management. I think because it's such a new role in the industry, it is very different for everyone, and a lot of the time it's actually many different roles piled into one. So personally for me, what social media management looks like is managing a social media account. This can be for a brand, company, or a person. So my personal responsibilities would be creating a strategy for my client, filming content, scripting content, editing content, uploading content, replying to comments, DMs, working with influencers and other brands on collaborations, literally anything that falls under managing a social media account. So there's 4 simple steps here that I'm going to walk through, and I'm also going to intertwine my own experience of how I did this to show you that it is actually possible and I'm not just talking out of my arse. So the first thing we're going to want to be doing is understanding what it is you're actually offering. As I said, social media management looks different for everyone. Just take that skeleton of what I said and what I personally did and understand if that's really what you want to do. For me personally, I'm quite a hands-on person, so I like to do a lot of it myself. Maybe you don't offer that initial strategy, or maybe you get your client to film the content instead of you and you just send over briefs of what clips you want. Maybe you don't upload the content, maybe you send it across when it's finished for the client to upload when they want. Are you going to create analytics reports at the end of every month? Maybe responding to comments or DMs isn't part of your role. Maybe you leave that to the client in case they want to make it more personable. For example, if you want to make this a full-time, completely remote role and be someone who lives in Bali and says they make thousands of pounds on social media, then a lot of the way people do this is, as I said, they don't actually film the content themselves. They more so create a brief of what they think the video will be, and then they send that across to their client in the UK or wherever to film themselves and send back. Obviously, if you do actually film yourself, then you can charge more. Obviously, the more you do, the more responsibilities you have, the more you can charge. But if you're someone who's maybe looking to do this as a genuine side hustle and you don't have much time, maybe just consider how much of a commitment you're willing to offer as part of your service. You may not want to do a strategy, maybe the client already has one, or maybe you just want to start posting without a strategy, which I don't recommend, to be honest. Once you do start charging, you may want to charge extra to create that initial strategy. I do have a template for a social media strategy. If people are interested, then comment below and I can send it to you. So how I personally came up with my service is, honestly, I just did everything. I thought, how do I run my own social media pages? I'm just going to duplicate that and do that for my client. Next, you want to understand who your client is. Who are you actually going to pitch yourself to eventually? Focused on small businesses, medium or large businesses? I'd recommend small to begin with. And more importantly, what niche or niches do you want to specialize in? My 2 retainer clients were in the hospitality industry, they were 2 restaurants, and I didn't necessarily plan for this to happen. The way I got my first job is because my friend was a manager at one and he said he wanted some social media help, so I said, oh, I'll get involved, I'll help for free. And I just fell into that opportunity. But you may want to specialize in something you have a particular interest in. So maybe that's beauty, you're working at beauty salons, maybe it's hairdressers, maybe it's hospitality. Is it sports? Maybe working for a football club social media. Literally anything, any of your interests, you can turn into a social media management role. Social media pages are the new websites, so literally any company that has a website should also have a social media page. You can have more than one niche. Perhaps your niche is actually just a location you live in, maybe your city, maybe your niche is companies in Manchester, or it's companies where I live in Bath. And you can intertwinement of that city into your videos and your content, and that way it specializes a bit more. You're a specialized Manchester social media manager. It is good to have some type of understanding into what your industry is. The main things that your clients' customers would be interested in hearing about and knowing. At the end of the day, it's more important the type of content you make than actually what you know about the industry. But I would say choose something you do have a little bit of knowledge on and something you're interested in. And if in doubt, just go for anything at the first instance, because it's all just a learning curve. Okay, so once you've figured out what your service offering is, who your target clients are, you're now going to want to create a portfolio. Don't worry if you don't have any experience, it is okay, because I'm going to talk you through some different ways that you can build up your portfolio. So the best ways to showcase a creative portfolio is to show either past creative projects or create new ones. For example, if you're looking to specialize in the hospitality industry, maybe you have content from the past where you filmed a nice video of a restaurant or you took some nice photos, you can include those. Or maybe if your niche is clothing, maybe you've done a photo shoot with your friends, you can showcase some of the photos you took of them. Or even if you have your own social media pages like I do on my TikTok, I could showcase different viral videos that I've created on TikTok or random other videos that I've done just to show that I do have an idea of what's going on. And if you really think you have absolutely no experience you can't put on a portfolio, then you're just gonna have to make some. As I said, this experience could literally be you go into a restaurant and filming your meal. You go into a clothing shop and maybe doing a try-on haul with you in the changing rooms. Just come up with any different types of content that you can showcase on that portfolio that you would want to post on a client's account. Literally anything could be content. So to make your portfolio, I personally love Canva. I think pretty much everyone would say use Canva. So you can either send that portfolio as it is as a PDF to potential clients, or if you're really fancy, you can make a website and upload that portfolio to a website. All you have to do is get a domain, so www.blah. I personally use GoDaddy to find mine. And then yeah, it's really simple to just link up your Canva portfolio and your website. Bing bang bosh, you got a website. But it does cost a bit more, so don't stress about it. So we know our services, we know who our clients are, we've got a portfolio ready to show. Now it's time to pitch ourselves. If you have quite a bit of experience already in the content creation realms, you probably can start pitching yourself for paid work straight away. But if you're really nervous, if you don't have that much experience, if you don't want the pressure of being paid straight away to perform, then you can also pitch yourself for free. So when I first started managing this restaurant's Instagram, I was so nervous and I had such little expectations of myself that I actually said I'd start doing it for free. Now this worked out really well because as I was so stressed about having this, also my 9 to 5 and also uni, I really didn't want the extra pressure. I was genuinely just doing it as something to enjoy and to get experience from. I didn't charge initially, but after a month, I helped the Instagram grow so much. I think we had a video go over 1 million. We had loads of tens of thousands of views. I finally said, you know what? I'm showing my worth. Please can I get paid? Looking back at it now, I was charging so low. I think I was charging about £400 a month to begin with, which in some cases is okay if you're uploading a couple times a week maybe. I was uploading a video every single day for months. Know your worth, stand your ground, don't get completely undercharged. My best tip is if a client has a low budget, lower your deliverables to that budget rather than keeping the same deliverables and trying to make them raise their budget. Because particularly with small businesses, they don't have a lot of spending for marketing, and especially social media marketing. To start off with, you're going to pitch yourself to local businesses in your area, scout their social media first, because if they're already really active on social media, then you may not necessarily have the best chance in getting in there. But if they posted 2 months ago, or if they don't even have a social media account, then they are your prime clients. You're simply going to write an email, introduce yourself, attach your portfolio, and say you're looking for some work experience for free. Or if you don't want to pitch yourself for free, you can add a price. And you really want to tailor this email or this pitch to that business. Say you've looked at their accounts, say you see they're inactive, show them figures that they're missing out on because they're not utilizing their social media. And just really make that personal. So hopefully after this you will have received at least 1 client, and I think to begin with you only want 1 client because any more and you'll get overwhelmed, particularly if this just started off as a side hustle. And once you get this work secured, you need to treat it as if you're getting paid. Even if you're getting nothing or barely anything, you need to treat this with the utmost importance. Communicate well with your client, get a contract in place if you need to, create a strategy, go above and beyond, prove yourself to that client, and also build up even more of a portfolio of experience. For me, for example, I started off with this one restaurant for free, then started getting paid a small amount, but I performed so well and I impressed my client so much, he actually then offered me a second one of his restaurants to also manage. And then through that, I also got various word of mouth recommendations for my ad hoc work. So word of mouth is your best friend. Do as well as you can, go above and beyond, and just impress your client as much as possible. Hopefully after a month or 2 or however long, you'll be performing quite well. If not, then you need to strategize a bit, figure out what's going well, why it's not going well, etc. And then it is time to pitch yourself for paid work or a pay rise. If your client refuses to give you a pay rise or pay you at all, then I would highly recommend moving on to someone else, unless for some reason you really like working for this client. Because 1, they've been getting your free or low paid services for at least a month, that's more than you should offer anyway. And 2, if they're not willing to pay you, they clearly don't see your worth, so you're better off moving on to someone who does understand your value. Do the whole pitching process again, update your portfolio with statistics, analytics, photos, videos, evidence from that previous client and your previous portfolio, pitch yourself to new clients. Set yourself yourself a rate. It's honestly really hard to determine what you can charge. It can be from £200 to £1,000 a month, depending on your client, their budget, how much you're offering, what your services are. If you do have any specific questions, please reach out to me individually and I'll try and help you gauge a rough figure you could be charging. But from there, you just keep growing and expanding. Either keep on your one client and just manage that really well, or if you're wanting to make a bit more money, then you can take on another client. If you really want to go above and beyond, you can start outsourcing some of your work and actually building a business and an agency. But for the most people, this is just a little side hustle. So if that one client is paying you well enough to cover bills or rent food shops, then that is great. It is completely up to you how far you want to go with this. A quick one as well in regards to earnings and taxes, specifically in the UK, you don't actually have to declare anything until you earn over £1,000. So every year, everyone has something called a trading allowance. You can earn an additional £1,000 above your salary and you don't have to declare it, you don't have to do tax forms, whatever. As soon as you bring in more than £1,000 revenue, you have to declare that. So just be conscious of that, be conscious of how much you're getting paid. And if you do start making over £1,000 a year, which hopefully you should within the first few months, then you may want to look at setting up as a sole trader or a limited company. There's various pros and cons between limited company and a sole trader, so if you want a separate video on that, please let me know. And that is everything. I tried to make it quick, I tried to make it concise. I'm more than happy to help out with any questions if you have any, so please do reach out either the comments below or my Instagram. I would love to hear any stories of people starting and I would love to help along the way, so please do get in contact and I will see you in the next video.